Hello folks and welcome back. For those that followed me on Instagram, you'll know that I've been away for the last couple of weeks. On return, the allotment was quite a surprise. I understand that in the West Midlands here we've had some very strong winds, some baking hot days and some decent thunderstorms. So come and join me and have a look how the plot survived. This bed here is the Crimson Crush, and just before I went I tidied these up, but in my absence they've grown some tentacles, arms and legs. So this is the first job tidying up, and also obviously the weeds need doing. But once I've done that, I might treat you all to the very first plot tour of the year. Just have a quick look in the greenhouse for the chilly wicking system, one that we built, and I think this is a Corno di Toro Rosso. Nice fruit on there, there's another one at the top. In general, these are mixed varieties. We did double up on both sides. Most of the plants now have got plenty of flowers on, as you can probably see here. Looking through there and delving through the back there, we've got some more with fruits on. So all in all, very, very happy the way this is performed, considering the hot weather we've had. Just have a look at it through into the back here, and there's more fruit on there, and I think them are corners down the back, we can see through there. So all in all, very happy with that, and I'd highly recommend anyone building one of these systems because they do really look after themselves. There's one other final little job I want to do before I take you on the plot tour, and that's to lift these shallots. I've got some really promising bulbs to lift here. Now we've had some really hot weather, but there's also just a few little speckles of rain appeared, and I think there's more rain forecast. So I'd really like to get these up and get them start drying before they have a good deluge of rain on top of them. So let's go. I've finally got them in. As you can see, there's a fair old few shallots there. There's actually more than I thought it was. Those little blue trays have filled 5. So those are the red suns. And still in there, we've got the Hatif di Neo. And I've kept them separate because I want to use them, keep some of them back for seed. So, I don't know if you can tell there, because the sun's getting a bit low now. I put 2 plastic gutters on, drain pipes. What I'm going to do is put the glass on top of there so that it keeps them warm to dry on quickly, but also gives you good airflow. So because the sun's actually coming up now through there, I think I'm going to leave the plot tour till first thing in the morning. So see you later. Well, good morning folks and welcome. And I said we'd be doing the plot tour, and sure enough we're going to start. So come and join me down in the carrot tank. The carrot tanks for me are looking quite good at the moment. If you watch my original video where I did the sowings using the mesh grids and pop the dibber in between the spaces just to get the gaps equal, multi-sow and then thin out, it might seem a little bit tedious for some people, but for me it's well worth a while. Looking at these carrots now, the stems are thickening up and hopefully the roots below are growing some nice chunky specimens for harvest later. Growing in these tanks is my favourite way of growing carrots rather than directly in the ground, because you can tend to control the soil more, and by doing that I can also pop these hoops over the top and put mesh over and keep the carrot fly at bay. During this tour you might see 1 or 2 videos popping up here which is reference to something you might want to have a look at closer, and one of them will be looking at how I built these carrot tanks. Right, let's move on to the next bed. This here was where I had my garlic, and I've got a little clip somewhere of where I've harvested the garlic. The return's been mediocre, not too bad, not too good. I have had quite a few bulbs which didn't even split, although I sowed them actually in, I think it was September, October, and we did have a lot of cold weather and even snow, but nonetheless. Anyway, what I've done, I've actually given this a top dressing of manure now. I'm going to leave that and hopefully sow some winter cabbage and cauliflower here a bit later on. These tanks here are a bit of an afterthought. What it was, my old carrot tanks, so rather than go to waste, I thought I'd pop some soil in and put a few salad crops. On the right side here, you can actually see the elephant garlic, which was only been sown probably about 6 to 8 weeks ago, so I don't hold much hope out of that. Although they have thrown up a few scapes, I might have a delve down in a couple of weeks' time when I empty them. The Vegepod has proved some marvellous crops this year, although it's looking a bit tired now at the moment because I'm actually harvesting. I've got beetroot in here, I think it's 2 rows, and these are roughly around about just a bit smaller than a tennis ball at the moment, and harvesting these well. I've had plenty of lettuce out, in fact I can't eat it enough. Some of it's gone to seed. There's a Navara in there, and also I think it's Smile. And also we've got some spring onions. I've got this red variety here. I'll put the name on underneath, but give them a tug under. As you can see, if I bring them up to close to the camera, I've got some, I think these are called a PATIO or something like that, but I will put the name underneath. But now the Vegepod has done well. So if you have got these, remember to actually grease the legs to keep the slugs away. I've had no slug trouble at all. And also don't forget to keep feeding the soil, because growing this amount of crops in there does actually take a lot of the nutrients out. So remember to keep feeding. In the meantime, I've got some more spring onions, probably just coming up here, and they'll be going in here. And towards the end of the year, I'll pop the plastic cover on and give it a bit more extra protection. The allium beds this year have been some few weird results, but in general, not too bad. I've raised the covers on both sides so we can get inside and have a closer look. All of the onions in the tent here, as you can see, have been grown from seed, none from sets except for the shallots. This is where the weird part starts. Looking down at the bottom here, these are called tough ball. These will grow about just a bit bigger than a tennis ball. Since I planted them out, the foliage lay flat and it never ever started to lift, although the bulbs did start to grow, but they've got to a stage where they seem to have stopped all of a sudden. Moving next door, this is a similar type of onion. This one's called Vento, again growing to about the size of a tennis ball, but you can see the difference here is how these have bulked up, nice thick necks and plenty of leaves on, and they continue growing. Just below or behind them, amongst the weeds, I've got 1 or 2 rows of the banana type shallots, and I think that one there is called a lister, you might see in the background. This bed here is where I've grown the bigger onions, and these are the Kelsey. Looking quite good at the moment, nice thick stems and plenty of leaves coming on. Does need weeding in the middle like most of the other beds, but most of the alliums this year have been plagued, particularly with chickweed, but it does come out quite easily. These onions, which are starting to go over now, a few more of the banana type shallots. The red ones you can see in front of the board are the long red Florence. I've got 1 or 2 more Zabroon, and the other side of the white board are some Elista. Looking here now into this box here, these are what they call pot leeks. You may or may not be familiar with them. Similar to a leek, the way it grows on, it's much more squat in size, shorter and thicker girth. Those are in pots at the moment, and I'm going to be putting those in where the shallots have previously been. These are the leeks at the moment, doing quite well. There's 2 varieties in here. There's Musselburgh, and I can't remember the other name. I'll have a look and I'll put it at the bottom of the screen. And the vacant space at the back there is where I've just lifted the shallots, and in there will be going the pot leeks. This bed here is a bit of a mismatch. I pop things in when I've got no space anywhere else. As you can see, I've got 3 sunflowers in. These are from my safe seed, the ones I grow with the giant head, and they seem to be doing okay now. They're starting to thicken up. Below them I've got 2 courgettes, and they've just started fruiting. So now I'm picking 2 or 3 fruits off them a day, decent size. I've got a couple of 3 flowers, I'm not sure the name. If I remember, I'll pop the name along the bottom of the screen. Then moving forward, I've got the French beans. These are the ones that just scramble along the floor. I'm not growing any climbing French beans this year. And this variety is one called Ferrari. There are plenty of flowers on, although we haven't actually picked nothing off yet. I should imagine, looking at them, probably be about another 2 weeks. Then moving in front of them, I've got 2 rows of tomatoes. I think all the back ones here are the crimson plum, the blight resistant plum. I've never ever grown these before, and also this is a crimson plum as well. They've got quite a lot of fruits on, so looking forward to them. Down in the middle here, I think that one there is it's called Summer Last. It's one of the dwarf varieties, and the 2 on the end there are the Sweet Million, the little cherry tomatoes. Got some of them in the greenhouse as well, 2 outside. Nice to compare how they go. Bringing along the front here, we've got the radish, and there's massive gaps in there, and there's a reason for that. Got my friend the Malback, he's digging up along here, and mainly along the path here. There's some mounds and tunnels and that. He destroyed the celery bed twice, as you know, and I'm going to have to see what happens. Anyway, that's this bed. The middle bed in there has got nothing in at all. I kept that originally as a nursery bed, but I never got round to using it. So what I might do now is just move the rubbish off the top, clear the weeds off, and I'll top dress it with manure and leave it ready for next year. Right, let's take a look up into the top bed where the main tomatoes are. This here is my main outdoor tomato bed. 12 in total, and then one of my favourite, Crimson Crush. Seem to be doing okay. While I was away on holiday, we had the hot weather and the rain, and these put on a massive growth spurt and resulted in tentacles and arms coming everywhere. What I've done, I've cut off the side shoots as best as I can, although there were some really quite thick stems, and that really should have been going into the main plant. But not to worry, they seem to have picked up from the butchering I've given them, and the fruit, as you can see, is starting to develop. Now in between here, I've got 2 rows of beetroot. That's the Bolt Hardy, and these are a lot thinner than the ones in the Vegepod, so I'm hoping to grow these at least to cricket ball, probably a bit bigger size. Then in between there, I've just dotted a few of lettuce, and they seem to be doing okay. So it's quite a productive bed. Just have a look now at the flower bed over here. And this here was my asparagus bed, but as you can see now, it's been converted to flowers. There's still 1 or 2 asparagus spears I've left in here because I have got plans for this bed. You'll probably see that in the next video. But as it stands now, I've got my TP wigwam up, my sweet peas, them are just coming into lovely flower. I've actually picked some already. And there's dahlias in there, cosmos, there's a few other things, and all got the poppies. So it's just coming into fruition now. Although the weather's changed a bit, it's gone a bit cold, a bit more windy. Once the sun comes back up here, I'm sure these will be a riot of colour. So that's my flower bed. Let's move on. Well, that just about brings part 1 of the grand summer tour to a close. If you're new to the channel, why not consider pressing the button down there to subscribe, and also ring the bell, and then you'll be notified of any future updates. In the meantime, why not carry on and join me by pressing the link below, and we'll see what's happening in part 2, including a little tour of my garden. I'm Nigel Dukes, and you've been watching the MuddyBootz allotment channel.